might be watching. I know she might have had a conflict, but I think, who knows, maybe she'll surprise us. But either way, we have this. We'll have fun. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, there's a bunch of concurrent users on YouTube, so she's probably in the mix of things.
Nora.
Yeah. And hi, Andreas. Hi. Hi. Thanks for joining us on Zoom. You are a lone attendee, so do ask questions if you have them, because we want to hear them. Okay. So for those of you who are out on YouTube, as well as Andreas on Zoom, welcome to the this is my fifth one today, GVDS Showcase. This is number 7. And the purpose behind the GVDS Showcase is to basically showcase the work that this particular team has done over the past month. You can believe it's been a month already on their particular topic of interest. The process is that we're going to be doing introductions at first. Then the team will have you go through a journey of both their challenge, what they took on, the ideas that came around with that particular one, as well as the solutions they came up with and the prototype and the exploration that they had. And then at the end, we'll take questions. So if you have any that you'd like to ask, feel free to put those in the Q&A ahead of time or at any time during this presentation. If you're on YouTube, feel free to put those in and I'll cover them towards the end. But for now, let's get straight into introductions since we're a little bit over. I'm going to usually start with the person on my left. In this case, it's going to be down. So let's start with Christina, Jean, Murkowski. I don't know if that's all right. Go ahead and introduce. There you go. Introduce who you are, where you're from, and what you're planning on doing this weekend.
So my name is Christina. I'm a design thinking facilitator from Bucharest, Romania. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to present with my colleagues our Dash process. And this weekend, for sure, I will get some rest because during GVDS for a month, it was crazy, but it was so fun and we enjoyed it and we learned so much. So thank you.
Yeah. So rest for you. Got it.
Yeah.
Good deal. Jean, how about you?
Hello. Yes, I'm Jean. I'm based in Dallas right now and have loved working with these ladies over the last month. I am in regenerative design, so I really like sustainability, thinking about what that means for us in our inner worlds, outer worlds, and just really excited to rethink about some of the industries we're talking about in this presentation and really what that means for the world at large. So happy to be here. Thanks.
Right. And the weekend?
The weekend. Let's see. It's nice and sunny. I'll probably go hang out by the lake or chill out here. Maybe make some new food that I've never made before. So not sure. I have no plans right now.
All right. Okay.
It's just begun.
It's wide open. Yeah. You can basically okay.
It's wide open.
Yes. I long for those days. What could possibly happen this evening? Doesn't happen in my world, but I'm glad it does with yours. Okay.
I might have an interview as well. I might have an interview, which is exciting. That's one thing that's inspired me out of this GVDS is interviewing and realizing that's some of these conversations are what I want to have. So it's exciting. It's kind of new for me. Anyway, that's it.
Start up a live blog and we can kind of keep track along with you depending on where you go. Well, maybe not. Venus, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what you're planning on doing this weekend?
So my name is Fides. I'm based in Switzerland, German-speaking part, so close to Zurich. I'm a business designer, design sprinter, design thinker. I'm mixing everything a bit, and I'm really fond of learning new topics and getting into new topics. And as for the weekend, it's just one of those instances. I have a day at university again tomorrow, so no rest tomorrow, but a lot of learning. And interestingly enough, the topic for this module is big data and megatrends. So I'm getting lots and lots and lots of input. It's really exciting. But Sunday, I hope to really have a relaxing day. I need one.
I'm sure you'll have one. I don't have no doubt about that. So let's do a proper bridge into the topic of MegaFemTech and what y'all have done. I don't know if you have a particular order in terms of who's going to present when, but Fides, I'll assume that you could start everything off. Do you want to share a mural with everyone who's watching in so that you can kind of walk through? I got a glimpse of what it looked like. That's why I was going,
It
maybe
depends
we'll want to see that.
when you had the glimpse, Robert, because I just changed it around quite a bit. So there we go. Can you see it now?
It's coming in focus. There we go. Holy cow.
So much motion.
That's got a lot of style to it. So
lots of motion, lots of branding.
No, it looks fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I just told Christina just before in the Slack channel, it's been like so long ago, I can't remember exactly where we started. All I can remember is that we, with Nora Scully in the team, she's very passionate. So I'm really missing her right now. She's missing. She should be here because she brought in the topic of FemTech. And she told us about it, and she's so passionate. She knows so much about it. So I'm really missing her now. As you can see, we have the whole team here.
And yeah, for reference, you might want to zoom in pretty close, just because on replays, going in from a distance, it doesn't look as good. There you go.
Okay, so that is the team with Nora Scully and Appa, who is missing today. But really, for the process, I'd love to for Jean or Christina to take over.
Okay, so I can start. So our Dash process focused on breaking barriers for FemTech founders by introducing this wonderful concept of megatrends. And Nora presented us with the concept of FemTech, and Fides presented us with the concept of megatrends. Okay. So because we, as a team, had really cool stuff to dig in, using two powerful concepts, we basically took as a challenge to mix them and to get to know better the two concepts, and also to see how we can use megatrends for the benefit of FemTech founders and for the benefit of them gaining vantage point and better know-how and business acumen by learning about megatrends.
Exactly. And I can just quickly chip in about megatrends. So as I've been talking about and learning about megatrends again all day today, I'm really up to the topic right now. So megatrends is changes that are long-term or globally affect the world on a global scale and have a timeline of 25 to 30 years. And you can distinguish between megatrends, macro trends, micro trends, and hype. So the difference really is for how long those megatrends or macro trends are valid. Macro trends are usually 3 to 5 years. And the term has been coined by John Nesbitt in 1982. And when he brought out the book, he had identified just 2 megatrends. And if you have a look at the card with the megatrends to really show what we want to do, the world covered in megatrends, which are of impact for FemTech, you can see there are many more than just those 2. So those are the megatrends, and our idea was to combine the 2.
And what we did with this map, we will present it afterwards because it's part of our pretotype. So we started a little bit with the ending, but we will get to it in the end. Basically, we scanned the most relevant megatrends for FemTech industry. FemTech meaning the goods and services related to feminine health and lifestyle that can be created using innovation techniques and that business founders and corporate professionals may be interested in. So getting back to the problem framing, because we started the DASH process with the problem framing, we wanted to see how we can merge these two concepts in a relevant way, and also to follow up the DASH process so we can easily get to the pretotype. So 3 main points: introducing our topic, which was breaking the barriers for FemTech founders. Breaking the barriers for FemTech founders is a topic that we discussed during GVDS 4. So basically, it is a topic that was debated during GVDS 4, and Nora and some other design sprinters worked on it. So there is valid point that FemTech founders have some barriers in terms of business innovation and financing. Therefore, we added this concept of megatrends, and we wanted to see how we can include awareness of megatrends into their entrepreneurial strategy so they can be better supported, and so they can feel reassured by having this new concept on board. Our problem framing also dealt with learning with a community which leverages peer-to-peer networks. So we wanted to see if it is a valid point to get awareness for these two concepts within the communities of FemTech founders. Therefore, I will leave my colleagues to comment if there are other mentions that they would like to have for this step.
So we defined do you want to go ahead, John?
I was just going to say that I did get to sprint with Nora last fall, and just understanding that this was a new burgeoning industry was new for me. And I didn't realize it. And I just think it's so powerful because when we think of, okay, I'm curious what the first 2 megatrends were, but as we're really looking more and more through the last 30 years of our interdisciplinary world, and just how these megatrends for a new industry that's technology based and for women, and kind of comparing to the traditional VC model, we also talked about this is more long-term sustainability and business growth, and really taking an industry that's for feminine health as well as the technology industry, just really kind of reframing what venture capital means and what building these businesses means, and really taking a long-term view, and how these really deep societal challenges affect so many other ones. And so, yeah, creating a community kind of around that, I thought was interesting to think in the problem space. We really dove deep there, I think.
Yeah. And we came up with so many ideas on how to solve those problems. But that's fully, so we defined the problems as being, as megatrends just being a tool that FemTech founders could use to innovate quicker and more successfully, and also to communicate their projects more clearly to venture capitalists. We wanted to give them like a hand in creating added value to those products, and to help them, because usually FemTech founders are small company startup founders, so to give them an edge in competing. So that really is what Jean before said. We had, do you remember, ladies, we had quite some discussions about the point of male investors that don't want to go into FemTech products because of the topic being too, how should we say, too distant to them. You remember, Christina?
Yes, it's ancestral, it's a taboo. Some topics regarding feminine health and hygiene and maybe lifestyle are taboo in some societies, and it is a valid point that because of this, founders that are interested to innovate and to invest in these fields of expertise might encounter difficulties in exposing their differentiating points and innovations to venture capitalists or to various investment funds. So because we debated at the beginning, I really think, and it is researched over the internet, that nowadays there are still more ways to get to know what it means to have feminine related products and services that fit the purpose. And it has to do with research, it has to do with medical innovation as well. But the pains that we identified is that it's a valid point to assume that if they don't understand FemTech pains because they are not female related, they are male and they are male investors, they might not get into what it means to have a pain, feminine pain related to, I know, sexual health or menstruation, because it's a taboo in some societies. We also assumed that it's a siloed world out there, and these investors build their lives in silos and chambers, and various silo thinking emerges from here. And it is also a myopic view on business purposes. Investors don't have the time to dive into insights, or entrepreneurs, maybe they are too focused on getting their administrative side down and delivered, and they are not very, it's not, I don't generalize, but sometimes it happens that they spend too much time on organizing stuff and on being entrepreneurial, and maybe the pitch decks are not relevant from the investor side. And there is also a lack of awareness on the alternative funding options. So we wanted to address this as well as pain points. For FemTech founders. FemTech founders, by all means, might be male and female. So men or women who are interested to invest in developing a product or a service that carries innovation for the health and lifestyle of women.
Exactly.
So that's why we wanted also with our project, we wanted to fight biases, because there is, because of the taboos and the societal pains that occurred in the past, there are valid biases that we face right now at an international scale. So for the how might we's, you can see that we dealt with a very sensitive topic, and the topic is very hot and sensitive nowadays as well. But for the how might we's, we wanted to make sure that we put some relevant questions out there. So the first how might we is how to help startup founders to widen their long-term strategic view as to include megatrends. The second how might we that we identified was how might we consider megatrends valuable for them, for these FemTech founders, as a way for them to find alternative funding and also support pit stops along the way. And the third how might we was how to promote a clean investor VC code of conduct so that biases are properly addressed. We are not scared to admit that we are in an international team right now, and GVDS is a community of international experts. So we, as countries, because we represent our countries, so in our countries there are various degrees of biases when it relates to this investor code of conduct. I'm not sure if there is. In some countries we have an investor code, In others, we do not have an investor code. That was our third how might we that we deducted from this dash process, and we would like to address it still using our pretotype, but we focused mainly on the first two.
Exactly.
We have to confess this, because this third how might we is a long shot for us, because we have to investigate furthermore, we have to scoop into this according to discussions with the FemTech founders that we address with our prototype, and to see if we can make some valid points as to have this clean investor VC code of conduct on track.
Also, the
and
way
it seems, yeah, go ahead, GVDS.
Was set up, we had to choose one. How might we, didn't we? So it's the first one that we've chosen.
Yes, and I think too, we kind of, it's leaning on the side of a VC code of conduct. We'd rather be empowering the women in the community to be looking at the world in this way. And so I think we just, as a team, we kind of realized that's how those develop. When you're talking with your team, it's like, this is kind of where our values go. And that's the direction we chose. So.
Exactly. So what was the next step? The ideas, exactly. So we came up with many ideas, didn't we? The exploratory map was one, the visualization of which megatrends are of use to FemTech founders, or even to startup founders in general, because there has to be an overlap. There was the question of the idea of asking FemTech founders which megatrends they're interested in. And our conclusion here was that they might not know megatrends at all. So asking them what they want to know about megatrends when it's not a topic that they're aware of is not a lot of use. So we really, in the end, decided on how to educate. Sorry, the internet is a bit slow. So the opportunity we wanted to take is to enable startup founders to learn about megatrends within peer-to-peer groups was one idea. Another one was to do events, virtual events, to organize big events where we can have speakers, discuss on the topic and so on. How to create a dialogue around megatrends. And in the end, we came up with those, the FemTech founders, which ones are they interested in. The competition, that was an idea, that was a long-standing one, to do a competition, to ask FemTech founders to enhance their project pitches that they're doing anyway with the information regarding megatrends. And to encourage them through the competition to do that regularly and to value the best practices that we've found. Promoting megatrends through collectives, through FemTech collectives, and that's where Nora has a lot of insight. Yes, what else do we have here?
Yeah, I guess I just, oh, sorry. I just add to that too, and part of the conversation with Nora has been, what is women's health really? And so this is physically, spiritually, mentally. And so you really, it kind of takes you into a whole new world. And the people that are in this industry and starting their own communities that have podcasts, they're quite, they're passionate and they have some really great ideas. So it is, it's just an interesting place to really explore and find out more about, as a pretty powerful industry taking root, I'd say. Yeah.
The audience was pretty clear from the beginning as well. So we wanted to work with startup founders. Yeah, we have the same ideas here. Shall we go into the pretotype?
Let's go. Yeah, it's so wonderful. Thanks for all your work, Fides. She really, and I loved your attitude because you're like, this is just practice. So we really, I mean, as a team, figuring out what we're going to do next, and it's like, well, let's do the whole thing. You know, we have to go through with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we talked about, you know, the context. Like, okay, we don't want to go through, since we're learning here, we don't want to go through the pretotype if we don't have an intention. Which is what I wrote down, is like, I feel for pretotype, really your intention, your messaging, and your framing, just to make sure you're doing it in a way that it's a fair exchange with people for the information and for their time. So I thought that was just a great conversation with the team, and Appa sharing her insights. And then we went through with it because Fides and Maria and everybody was just really excited to move forward as a team. And I'm really proud of all the little steps that you took, especially to sync everything up and make it one final experiment. So thank you.
Yeah, it was quite a challenge talking about the ethical dilemma, Robert, the topic you brought up with Alberto Savoia, because to me, I think that is, as much as I love those pretotypes, and I really love them, I think it's such a good attitude to say, I'm testing the idea first before I go into building a prototype. But there is the problem that I see of the ethical dilemma, because if you have no intention to go ahead with the product and you just keep promising people products or webinars in our case without going through with it, that was quite a discussion. And and Appa was very concerned about that as well, because we put it up on LinkedIn. We have been putting skin in the game as well, because we put our reputation up on LinkedIn. We have now a company, the MegaFemTech company, on LinkedIn. And so it's a think tank, it's not a company. But yeah, we put up the update that we're working with the MegaFemTech think tank now. We've had congratulations and questions from our peers. So it's a pretotype that is quite visible to the outside as well.
It's funny how these things manifest into that. You originally start out with a keen concept, and then you find that you're intrinsically motivated to do more of it, and it starts becoming something more than itself.
Exactly.
Yes,
and
because we
it's what creativity is.
Yes.
Yeah.
We took the decision as a group that we will deliver the pretotype. So basically we will deliver the webinar. And
yeah. And Maria, she was just, yes, we are coming from these countries. We are a team. We're going forward. We're doing this. If we get the interest, you know, of course. And then just to think about it with Nora, and has her monthly thing. So it's a collaboration with Alex and Nora, and really the rest of her crew around San Francisco and Oakland. And yeah, so no matter what is happening, and that's why we decided to push it forward and put our skin in the game. I like that.
Yes, we really put our skin in the game. And on 2 December, we will deliver the webinar.
So can you see the screen properly? Because I have, my network seems to be a bit slow.
Looks like it's updating changes.
Yeah, exactly. So you did updating changes. You can see that, can't you?
But can't see it. Yeah.
Okay. If you don't want people to see all of your tabs, you can always go full screen too. So you can basically like go in full screen in the browser, and then you'll be able to just show that.
Okay. I hope it'll stop updating the changes soon. So in the end, because we had so many ideas that we wanted to do for our How Might We, in the end, we decided to do the webinar. And to test the idea of the webinar, we said we'll do a LinkedIn carousel. And that's this one down here. That's this one down here. So that's 8 slides that we've put up as a carousel. You could do that on Instagram as well. It's the same. So that's the think tank that is now live on LinkedIn, the MegaFemTech, and Christina has been writing a lot of the copy together with Appa and John, I think. How was that going on in the background? Because I was working on the graphics and the ad.
We collaborated on the copywriting, and we wanted to make it punchier and to have a clear message, because there are two concepts that we got to know within the dash process ourselves. So we got familiar, myself got familiar with the two of them during this dash process. That's why from the copywriting side, I was more interested to understand what these two concepts meant, and then to translate in a good language for the target audience. So we basically, within the copywriting, we use the definition of the two concepts, so the definition of FemTech, the definition of a megatrend, and then we, of course, we used call to actions for webinar subscription, because in the end, our pretotype is the carousel and the campaign, the landing page. And of course, we would like to gather participants in the webinar. We have some subscriptions already that happened. And we would like to gather FemTech founders and corporate professionals that are interested in this topic, so that we can discuss with them and start a conversation regarding megatrends for FemTech industries, and to see their level of awareness for megatrends and for the use of megatrends within this specific industry.
Let me just quickly maybe stop sharing the screen, and then I can share again for the landing page that we did.
Perfect.
Even get
and it was fun, because we would hop on Zoom, and GVDS would be working with Webflow actually. So we really, looking at the different tools like Webflow, and then we were thinking, okay, we want to, since we are getting this exchange and we're putting this webinar on, but we really want to think about people's privacy. So we're thinking, well, we need to set up MailChimp so it has a return mail to give them an extra message, and just, yeah, it was fun. It was fun working with all the tools and getting into that practice of, sorry.
It was interesting. So that is the landing page that we did. Hopefully done properly with all the call to actions. This is strange. So we have the date for the webinar, which is December 2nd, as Christina has already said. So we are committed to really put something up on that date, and we still have to work on that. So that's the 4 of us. That's all of the landing page, really. Now, the LinkedIn ad was not as forward-going as I thought it would be. The first ad wasn't approved for 3 days. It was just hanging there. So we didn't get a lot of traction yet. We still haven't, to be honest. So if we have a look again at the, yeah. Exactly.
Yes, it's for the LinkedIn creative review policy, because they are not they are very I don't know, safe on using capitalization within ads, and that's why the creative review of ads takes a little bit longer.
Now, funnily enough, after the first campaign had run through and wasn't approved, I just duplicated the same campaign, and it went through immediately. So we have a campaign running on LinkedIn now. We have, as of an hour ago, we have 2,204 impressions, but we only have 3 clicks. So, and only 2 signups. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we had those signups through our peer-to-peer network before we even went live with the LinkedIn ad. So if we have a look at the XYZ hypothesis that we did, we have to say that pretotype was not successful. That idea apparently doesn't get traction with startup founders. And I mean, the meaning, the reasoning behind doing a pretotype is really to listen to it, kind of. and act on it. So if we were just to look at the pretotype, we would have to say that idea is of no interest to startup founders. Also, the nice thing about LinkedIn is how the customer segmentation that you can do. So I was really targeting startup founders, FemTech, health companies, and so on. I was getting together a really good audience, which should have fit what we said, what the audience is, but we haven't got a lot of traction.
So one way to look at it is think of it as that the process is trying to figure out a pair of binoculars that somebody else has used, or that you've gotten for the first time. You have to make sure that the physical like bend of the binoculars matches your eyes, that you're actually focusing on the right thing, that you have the right, the nose thing is dialed in just right. Sometimes you can see from afar where you want to go, so you can kind of see the color or the instance that you want to go in. But just consider that every single test that you do is just another micro step in terms of trying to get that focus that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So I would say that the idea at its core, it may not necessarily be the wrong thing, but it may be just the calibration around how you kind of focus in on where you want to target your message and your audience.
Absolutely. And after having spent the last 2 days with the topic of big data and megatrends, and discussing with an innovator from PostFinance, which is a big company here in Switzerland, her opinion very clearly was they're not dealing in megatrends because megatrends are too long-term. They're dealing in macro trends. Those are those trends that go for the next 3 to 5 years. So if we listen to our pretotype, we should probably say we have to switch from megatrend to macro trends. And that is also where you get a lot of information, where you have a lot of trend scouting institutes, where you have the Singularity University, Jean, that you introduced. Because I hadn't known that before, but today at university, she was mentioning Singularity University as well. So maybe we would have to rephrase it, or at least include macro trends, mega and macro trends.
Yes, the funny thing is... Sorry, Robert. The funny thing is I used the Romanian translation as well for my skin in the game. Exactly. For the webinar. And because I couldn't find in Romanian something that would fit the mega trends, because it would be like a mega supermarket brand we have here in Romania with trends. So I translated it to macro trends.
Okay.
So that's why, because the novelty of the concept. Mm-hmm. So the traction is related to the novelty of the concept as well.
Call it mega micro. You can basically track the bigger trends in the smaller picture. So it's just like the same blend. It's just mega micro, and then it's like transforming businesses through trends, or trend setting transformative trends for businesses. There you go.
Exactly. So we can keep working on that, won't we?
But we realized from the start that it's about building dialogue, creating the space for dialogue, and generating awareness and interest for mega trends.
Absolutely, yeah. So that has been our journey with the Dash, really.
And maybe Fides, we can show the map, the interactive map, because it was from our basically idea, and Fides helped us to create the whole map of mega trends that might impact FemTech industries. So during the webinar, we will pick some of those and basically get into more details.
The most important one certainly being the female shift.
Mohammed Shamandour is on YouTube right now, and he said his comment was, "Super interesting topic." Goes like this: I'm all ears. You almost got me with your pretotype. I was going to register and I saved the post. And he smiles. I didn't notice this was an experiment. Well done. And he gives to this.
Thank you. Yeah.
but an experiment, yeah, that we will follow through on. So that's the thing. And it makes me curious, you know, what even with that carousel, what statistics or something, like even yesterday I learned that there are just as many neurons in your whole body as there are in your brain. So something like that, it really stops you for a moment, and that's how you get ideas to stick. So even some of our framing and Nora, some research she'd done that I was looking at this morning, when we initially were talking about the FemTech industry, she says,
the article you linked, John.
Right, yeah, and she was talking about just the unmet areas in women's health, such as, and these are kind of mega trends for our social change, especially in the United States right now. It keeps, for some reason, the Zoom, like I can't go anywhere else because it keeps
one of the articles
taking over.
That most of the FemTech products today are more towards the productive years of a woman, but not so much for the like menopause, later ages. But if you have a look at the aging population combined with the female shift, it's a market that's growing, menopausal women. So I think that was one of the findings, wasn't it, Jan?
Yes, and about just transgender and let's see here, pregnancy, motherhood, just some different communities. I'm not sure why the Zoom it keeps taking over my screen.
It does that to me too. I don't know why. I get that as well.
It's a little jarring. But anyway,
like, no.
Well, I'll move on. Yeah. But yeah, I just think it would be interesting to try another experiment and see what we can put on that carousel that might be more interesting to people, starting with maybe macro trends, but painting a really clear picture, maybe not in words, but maybe even visually. So who knows? It's our design. We'll figure it out.
Exactly.
And we really have amazing branding for this project, and we want to thank FIDES for this because it is the most branded project in the GVDS 5, and I think the other GVDSs, correct me if I'm wrong. It's spectacular branding.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen one yet that doesn't knock it out of the park like this one does with style. As soon as I saw this, I had music going in my head, so I was like going,
that's
well,
good.
I know the soundtrack that should go with this, being a former DJ, so it already clicked with me right off the bat.
Which one would it be, Robert?
What was that?
Which soundtrack?
There's so many. I'm going to embarrass myself, but no, I can't even remember what it's called. But it's definitely the hot beat stuff. I can't remember the name of the song. I just have it in my head. If I can find it, I'll put it up later.
Hot beat. Okay, like where they have the little kind of anime in the background.
No,
chill
I'm
hop?
thinking
that's chill hop.
No, nice. I'm thinking Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I think it was like the original like theme music that they had. The pink and the purples that they used on that show and the waves on it. There was a certain part of that the graphics there was like that suddenly came to my head. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. Just that kind of thing. So I do have a ton of questions for you all, but I gotta kind of narrow it down. The first is the hot topic of the dash right now is how prescriptive it should be. So clearly this time around, I was less prescriptive at the end and a little bit more at the beginning. How much improvisation did you find your team doing when the instructions were a bit ambiguous or unclear? And did that improvisation lead you to a good place when it came to what you had created?
I consider that we simplified, Robert. When instructions were unclear, the method to get out of that place was to simplify, and that's why we agreed on finding various ideas and to get straight to the baseline. So we needed to create awareness. So our scope was to help FemTech founders break barriers and to give them another tool for them to manage to be more successful and to pitch their decks more successfully to investors. So for us, it was basically about the pretotype is about awareness of a new tool they can use to do this. So if, from my point of view, but I think that my colleagues can agree, we used the dash process and that the instructions guided us towards this result. But when we needed more clarifications, we simplified. We wanted to simplify things and to make it clearer by simplifying.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, we didn't have to do that too often. I found it quite, I mean, what I thought in the beginning is we should have had an introduction to pretotype. Like, know what is the process, like give a quick overview over the process. That's where we are, that's how we do it, and that will be the outcome. I have been into pretotyping before, not in total depth. I'm still learning, but I at least knew what we were doing or what we wanted to do. But I think for someone who hasn't been into pretotyping at all, it might have been a bit confusing.
Okay.
So giving a better overview, what is like an hour introduction to pretotyping or something, to write it.
So essentially introducing the foundation of that process. And so when they eventually do get to that point within this hybrid process, it makes more sense. Like you'll kind of know after exploring the problem space and coming to a little bit more clarity on what you're designing for and what problem or challenge you're going after, then the steps involved don't seem that too far of a stretch.
Exactly. But the dash itself, it was built beautifully, Robert. It was like sometimes we just didn't have time to read the instructions or look at the videos beforehand. But everything was there and everything was clear. So amazing, Robert, really.
And we also,
thank you.
I guess when we got to the point, at one point in the dash, we started reading the different types of pretotypes on the Stanford website. And so, you know, I mean, it's even interesting just thinking about the language, and sometimes in our context with the GVDS, you are going to have to give it a little more curve and a little more flexibility, because some of these topics, like if you are on these social challenges, it can be very sensitive. And so the way you pretotype and your finesse and the way you frame everything is just really important as designers thinking about that. So you can't just automatically say that it's pretotypable. And so I think when people in the last GVDS were learning about the pretotype, it's like the conversation of, well, pretotype versus a prototype. I think that's a good where to start, even among the team. Who knows a pretotype? What do you think the difference is? And for me, it's like, well, what's that exchange? The example of the mixed spaghetti, it's okay, you put something on the menu to see if people want it. If they want it, you say, I'm sorry, it's not available, but here's this in exchange. But then like with the Uber example or Airbnb, it seems like a prototype. So really getting into that, I think, is kind of the part where we get an opportunity to talk about that stuff in the GVDS by the nature of it. And that's why I love it. It's kind of more of the meta conversation of where do these fit in.
Absolutely.
And just actually the XYZ hypothesis is fabulous, because it's like, what is measurable? Get this down. So I really like the process. Yeah. Really
Robert, yes, we felt pampered because we had video instructions for each exercise. So the murals came accompanied with your video instructions. All we needed to do was to research a bit and to document the topic and the exercise. And it was frustrating because we all of us were into the design sprint as well and the dash sprint. And maybe time was a reason why some things didn't work as well as we planned. But as far as I can confirm, and my colleagues can tell if I'm right or not, we had the documentation, and you provided us with lots of pampering by offering us the videos with the guidance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The last thing that I'll ask is the experiment, that both the signal and then the overall experiments were also open-ended. They weren't really prescriptive on what you should do or how you should measure. I've gotten a couple of people to say that because it was so open-ended that people weren't sure about what to do and were kind of trying to figure it out as they went along, and would have appreciated the signal experiment is just, this is how you do it. And the experiment is, here's an example of how to do it. And then here are the other recipes for other types of examples. For instance, putting up a LinkedIn page or a website, and then having your multiple experiments of different products and services be subpages from that homepage. Each one having a certain amount of time and effort that corresponds to it, but the team can decide which direction they want to go in based on the skill sets of the people involved, and also the amount of time you want to put into each one. There was originally a rating system for that, but it was taken out because I kept on getting feedback that it was too complex. So I'd like to know from this team if the example of both the signal and the massive experiment phase would have helped in terms of getting your bearings on what to consider.
To me, I think that's not needed, because part of the fun is the learning curve, and coming together as a team and finding motivation as a team and pushing each other forward. And I don't think it's needed to get that much pampering. It's been a good experience to decide among us, what do we want to do and how do we do it and who's got time to do it. And I'm so happy with the result and the team and the dynamic that we developed. I think that we would have missed out on that with too much direction.
Okay. So basically balancing the line between just enough direction and then letting the team kind of flex in terms of where they want to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
And some teams might fall apart and not do anything at all. And some teams might take it further for the next, I don't know, 20 years, whatever. But it's all a learning experience.
The Great American, or the Great, what is it called? The Amazing Race or something. It's almost, yeah, it's the experience of learning it and going through and with the team and figuring out kind of what the most efficient way to do it. I think that banter like really teaches us a lot too. But I think Robert too, at that one stage, I think you jumped in on our team meeting and we said, yeah, some pretotyping examples. So I think focusing on just some clever ways that people can go about testing. Creating a LinkedIn ad, the carousel was new to me. I learned about that. Putting something up on a website, just the different ways you can kind of package those as a little inspiration could be nice.
And now that we have different examples from different teams, maybe pointing at how different teams have done it in the past and said, here is showcase how, them. Right. And, you know, here's how Neon Pegasus did theirs. And this is a story of how they went about theirs. The one we had earlier was someone like America who is highly versed in analytics and marketing and did whole campaigns where he literally did Alberto's kind of process for like skin in the game points and figured out based on the week or 2 week soak that he had on his stuff, how those perform. So everyone has a different approach to it, but yeah, I think just a matter of showing the examples and seeing which ones people identify with and go in that direction.
Which other ones they're coming up with.
Yeah. And the storytelling of that's cool. If you could somehow condense it and kind of make a little artifact of, Amerigo and that whatever genius he is there and Fides with the LinkedIn carousel. That would be nice just to showcase what teams have done. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and these are the kinds of things that that I like to collect as these showcases that show how people went about it in different ways, given that there wasn't a really prescriptive path to kind of go on, but just generally, here's the bases you need to cover. And then when you get to this point, you can go in these different directions based on what makes sense to do so. Okay.
Absolutely.
So are there any last thoughts about the Dash process, about what you're doing here? It sounds like you got a webinar coming up that you may want to make sure that I know of, that I can promote and put it through my whole marketing thing. But anything else you want to kind of leave on the table before we kind of close the showcase out? You're good?
Just really, Robert, thank you for the opportunity. It's been an amazing experience, and I can't wait for the next one. And it's amazing having met the team and bonded and becoming friends with the team. And that's all up to you. Thank you.
Cool. No problem. I will say that if you haven't done so already, and if you feel inclined to do so, make sure that you leave some sort of recommendation on LinkedIn for some of the people that you worked with. That goes a long way in the long run. Like if you're talking about megatrends, I would say that recommendations is a definite megatrend when it comes to promoting each other and what you do, because those things tend to stick, especially if people don't know you or don't know the context. So, and one other thing, if there is a serious interest in kind of keeping the MegaFemTech brand as part of like this going forward, part of the community of practice that I'm starting up in December is to help be a hub of continuation for those teams. So we have a couple other people that are using that as just like a check-in, and then basically go, okay, here are a couple things I'm thinking about getting done that maybe we can work together on. And then the idea is that at some point in the month, you would take some time to get it done. And then when the next COP happens in that week, you can do a breakout room, you could do something, whatever you like, and then say, okay, how's it been going? You just check in with each other until you get your own rhythm or your own medium. That way, there's the continuation where you don't have to kind of say, hey, all, how's it going? You want to get together? And then you kind of feel like you're just kind of shouting in the dark, wondering if there's anything else. The COP would act as that kind of like beacon to say, like, every top of the month, we're just calling back to the original team saying, let's do a check-in. If not, no big deal. Or these are the things we have on tap of trying new tools, new process. We're going to be running some regular pretotypes for businesses. So if you have a small business and you want to explore different opportunities in the market, we're going to have a group in that COP that specifically does that, so that you're going to take the month to try new ideas and new products and services until something sticks.
That's wonderful. And we thank you for that, Robert.
Cool. Right.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got to get everything ready by the 15th because I got 2 days to get that done. But after today, I think I got the time. So
don't lose your voice. Get some tea. There's fifth one. He'll be dragging in on the 15th with his. Yeah.
As a former DJ, I'm used to that, but I'm used to losing my voice a lot.
I'm just saying, we know you've been putting a lot of time in for this, so we do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's a great event. It's an amazing event.
I really do enjoy it, and it's getting the perspective of what people do is a real treat for me, because I could never have gone in this direction or I produced this kind of thing. So it reminds me that there's always more than what I do out there, and hopefully this kind of event or these kinds of get-togethers kind of give me that perspective, because then, because of who I am, I go, hey, do you know this person named Fetus who just did this new stuff from MegaFemTech? She has a whole team working with her. You might want to take a look at this particular mural, because Fetus, I am going to show this to the people at Mural, and there's a good chance they may actually go to you and go, would you like to have this on a showcase sometime in December, January? We'd like you to come by and explain it. They did that with Graham Small after GVDS 4, so
okay,
it may be coming your way.
Yes, South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
She's ready.
Yep.
And it is a production. That's the great thing about the GVDS. It is a production. Here we are live on YouTube. It's a funny. It's really lovely.
Yep.
Need more of it.
Yes. Yasir says, please don't overpraise Robert. We are trying to convince him to write a playbook for the Dash.
Who's been saying that, Robert?
Yasir should basically do stand-up. He's an agile, but he really needs to just get in front of a microphone and just say what's on his mind. Seriously, he's got a whole career that he's missing out on. He could basically probably take on Ricky Gervais on any stand-up audience. Anyway,
that's Yasir.
Yeah,
Yasir. Okay.
He is very talented.
Mm-hmm.
He will be a celebrity if he becomes an influencer.
Yep. It's like you can imagine different pairings of different people, even 2 or 3 people, just to see if they had small mini projects they worked on, like Mohammed, Yasir, and say Graham. All 3 of them, they have a week to kind of come up with an interesting concept. And then you have Maria, Nora, or Christina, Nora, and Fides. Not saying that Jean isn't important, but then Jean and Jason Rude and somebody, like, you can just see where the combinations come in, because that's what I'm hoping the COP does, is like people are kind of interested in something somebody else posts and go, there's something about sustainability here coming up from Manu. I think I want to talk to her about something like that, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So one last screenshot before we end. Just have to stop the share on the screen, and then we have 4 of us, so we can do one last kind of capture that I can put in there before. It's obviously isn't comprehensive because not everyone's here, but at least it's something we can do. So you can do lights, you can do post-its, you can just basically have a pose. Yeah, there you go. I'm not going in the head. All right, there you go. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. All right. Cool. Thank you so much for the showcase. It was wonderful. I am going to forward that over to the people I know, like Mark Tippin and other people at Mural, and see what they say. I'm hoping to hear more about megatrends, MegaFemTech in the future. When that webinar comes out on the 2nd, I want to get tagged so that I can promote it, and we'll see what the future holds for everybody. All right.
Oh, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Thank
weekend.
you very much. Thank you.
Very good job.
Thank you.
All right.
Claps all
See y'all
around.
later.
Okay. Bye, everybody.